Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or for those who are new, welcome. My name is Kaylee, and before we begin, I'll just kind of give a background about myself a bit more. So this is my freshman year, and right now I'm a creative producing major at the Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, but I'm in the process of trying to switch my major, so I'll maybe talk about that more later and that process maybe. So I'll go in a bit more about the film school as well. That'll be included in the pros or the cons or whatever. And also I did make a video before this, and that one is about why I chose this school, Chapman University, and also just what to look for in choosing a college. So you guys can check that out here or here. I don't know where it is exactly, but it'll be up, so you guys should check that out before you watch this or after, doesn't matter. Also, in this video I'm actually gonna include my friends' opinions, because what I will be saying is my personal thoughts and opinions and what I experienced, and their opinions may be different because everyone has different opinions. So I thought it'd be important to not just have my own saying in this, so I will put that in the end. But for now, let's just get into what I think are the pros and cons of Chapman University. Okay, so to begin, I will be going in with the pros because I think they're very important. So, you should hear about the good things first, I think. I don't know which way is the right way to go about it, but that's just how I'm gonna go about it. But the first thing is class size. So I did mention this in my other video, so I'm not gonna go too in depth about it, but Chapman has very small class sizes. A lot of it is less than like high school size, but I am also in the film school. I don't know if it's different in other schools, but I don't know, it's just better that way because I feel like I'm more motivated to try rather than being a big class setting where it's so many students and the professor probably doesn't even know you're there. So it's just been a great experience for me. So the second thing is the rooming situation. This is not housing in general because I do have some things to say about that later on, but specifically the situation with having random roommates. I don't exactly know if you are able to pick a roommate. There might be a way to do it, but the way Chapman works freshman year, they do it by school, so you're with people with the same major or similar classes, things like that. And also I know a lot of other schools you get to pick your roommates, which I think is also cool. I didn't experience that myself, so I can't really compare it, but I feel like having random roommates, I meet people that I probably wouldn't have thought to meet and probably wouldn't have met, and I feel like you just get placed with different views and it's just a cool experience. And also being with the same majors, I found it very nice because a lot of my friends and I have similar classes, and because we live in the same building, it's very easy to just meet up and do work together. Okay, so I'm currently editing this right now, but I forgot to mention, so for the housing situation and how it's separated by the programs and things like that, I did talk about it as a pro, and it is a pro for me, but one of the things that I would consider a con is that because I am in the film school, it's a bit hard to meet people outside of the film school, especially because the school is separated from the main campus and most of our classes are film classes. So having housing where you're with a mix of different majors and different interests and things like that, it might be nice. So I guess it depends how you look at it, but I did have a great experience in this way. I feel like you can look at it as both a pro and a con, but I thought I'd put that in case you guys might look at that as important as well. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. But yeah, back to the video. Another thing is the location of the school. Again, I did talk about this in the other video, so I'm not gonna go too in depth, but it's in Orange County, and I like Orange County. I mean, the city itself, there's not much to do, and I would say you can't do as much if you don't have a car, but since I did have a car, it wasn't too bad, and like I was able to drive to LA when I want, or like around different cities in Orange County. So yeah, I'm sure at least one person will have a car. I'm not saying only look to them for rides, obviously, but a lot of people did have cars when I was there because you're allowed to. Another thing is the professors. A lot of my professors I really liked. Since it's a small class size, they really care about you as a student. I can't speak for all the professors, and I can't say that all the professors I had were great. Obviously, I don't think that's something that happens all the time, but a majority of my professors were amazing professors and people I can probably keep connections with and be able to get like internships or something from. And I met a professor from my study abroad class, and I was was able to get like an internship opportunity and get into certain classes. If you really just push yourself and talk to your professors and stuff, it can happen. So there are some great professors at Chapman, I would say. Another thing is the study abroad opportunities. I can make a whole separate thing about study abroad once I actually do a semester, but Chapman has great opportunities. I've also talked about this in my last video, but they have a lot of major specific opportunities. It's not just semester and year programs. They have a bunch of travel course opportunities, so I highly recommend looking into those, and they push you to go study abroad. They're not like trying to keep you. I guess if you're in the film school, it's a bit harder because they want you to be here a certain amount of time, like junior year, senior year, things like that, because those are important years. But other than that, they do have quite a lot of opportunities for you to go abroad, so I would say that's a pretty big pro. Another thing is networking. So this one is also kind of specific to the film school, I would say, but I guess as a school in general, because Chapman is small, if you meet somebody, you'll meet another person and things like that. For me, since I'm trying to switch my major, I just honestly like reached out to professors. I told my friends that I wanted to switch, and they met like upperclassmen who were in that field. I met certain professors through some students because they knew the professors well, and they introduced me to the professors, and I was able to take certain classes that I wouldn't be able to if I didn't talk to the professors and things like that. I feel like networking is very great, and also going on set if you're in the film school is quite easy. Like when I first heard that I had to go on set for one of my classes, I was a bit worried, but once you get to school, it's very easy to go on set. I feel like the film school is such a community, and you can really build your connections one by one. And obviously I did have to put myself out there and really reach out to people, but for me it was fun doing that because I was really interested in what I want to talk to these upperclassmen about. But there's a lot of networking opportunities when you meet people through sets and like get on other sets. I feel like the networking was very great for me, even just my freshman year, first semester. Editing Kaylee is back, but I thought I'd add one last pro, which is interterm. So for Chapman, we have a thing called interterm, which I don't think other schools have, and it's pretty much a course during the month of January, which is like a winter session, and it lasts for that month. So our second semester starts in February, or the beginning of February, and this is very nice because we get to have an extra course for that month-long period. We can either use that to experience or get credits out of the way, and it's just very useful, especially if you're running low on credits and you want to catch up, or you just want to take a class that seems interesting but don't want to take up a full semester. So yeah, I thought I'd throw that in there, but let's just get back to the video. Okay, I'm sure there are other pros. I mean, there are other pros, I just can't think of them at the spot. So I'm just gonna move on to the cons now. I'm sure this is what a lot of people are waiting for. So the first thing is the food. I mean, it's okay at times, but I do think I would rather save that money and not eat at school. The dining hall isn't the best. There are good days, and like sometimes I'm quite surprised by the caf, but it's not known to be this amazing place. I mean, obviously it's different for everyone, but for me personally, it wasn't the best. Their meal options aren't that diverse. They just kind of switch out like the different categories every time, and yeah, it's not the best, but there are good days. And also on campus, there aren't that many places. We just have a Subway-like place and a Chipotle-like place. We have Starbucks and Jamba Juice, but that's like pretty much it. Another thing is the cost. So Chapman is a private school, so it is quite costly. Thankfully, I was able to get some aid, which I'm very grateful for, but it is still quite a pricey school. I did have to take some loans, to be honest. And the sucky thing is that that's not all you pay for once you get to this school. If you're in the film school, you do have lab fees. So like if you were to take a certain class that has a lab fee, you will probably pay an extra $300 for each class, and that can add up. And another thing is, so we have a thing called Panther Bucks, which is what you pay for like food and stuff on campus, but there are some things that they don't let you buy with Panther Bucks, which I think is quite dumb because it is our money in the end, but we're only limited to certain things. Like snacks at the bookstore you can't buy with Panther Bucks, you have to buy with your own money. And those things, I feel like for a school that is that costly, they shouldn't require you to pay for all those extra things, but they do. There are also benefits if you're like a first gen student or things like that. They do have benefits for you. There are ways to get financial aid, but they do still require you to pay for some extra things. So I would say one of the biggest cons is that. Okay, so another con is registering for courses. Because I'm trying to switch my major, a lot of the classes I want to take aren't in the major that I'm in, so I'm not allowed to register for them unless I get like a specific signature or like get signed by the professor. And oftentimes the classes fill up, and if you can't even put yourself on the wait list, you're even behind them. So unless the professors are super chill and they will let you in, which I got very lucky and all my classes let me in, you probably won't be able to take certain classes because you're not in the major. And I don't know how it works with other schools, so I can't say that it's just Chapman that does this, but let's say you're undeclared and you're trying to like branch out and try all these different things. It's hard to, I would say, especially in the film school, because it's so exclusive and they don't really let people outside the major take it unless it's like bigger classes and more broad. So I would say that kind of sucks, and that whole system sucks, but there are ways to work your way around it, and there are some great professors who are super chill about that and understand that you really want to take the course. Don't try to go to your advisors and stuff. I say go to the professors, and if you meet great professors, they'll probably let you in. So there are ways to work your way around it, but that process honestly does really suck. Another thing is the housing. You are required to dorm your freshman and sophomore year, which I personally don't like because living on campus is very expensive and I would like to save as much money as I can, but unless you have a valid reason or proof, you can't live off campus. And I heard that for the sophomores last year, a lot of them didn't even end up living on campus because they just didn't have enough space. So I don't understand why they require you to. And another thing is that I have to live on campus next year again. So in order to do that, I can like pick the certain locations, but they give priority to the upperclassmen. Even though I'm required to live on campus, they get priority over picking where they can live. And I just think that's unfair because I'm required, so I feel like I should be able to pick where I can live rather than those who are allowed to live elsewhere. But I would say like the dorms are pretty great. They're quite spacious compared to what I've seen in like UCs and stuff, and we don't have to have like a communal bathroom or anything, but having to live sophomore year and freshman year, and that process is kind of complicated, which I don't think it should be the way it is. So that is another con for me. So the last thing I have is the diversity. So if you look online, it's not as diverse, and they're trying to get better, and I definitely acknowledge that. And I personally didn't experience anything negative on my end, and I met amazing people and I have great friends, and I wouldn't change that for the world. But I do notice cliques, if that makes sense. I don't know how to say this. I'm not saying that anybody does things in particular, but as an Asian American, and I guess it's even for me because I came from a city that had quite a lot of Asians, and going to a school that doesn't have as many Asians, I definitely feel a bit of a lack in diversity, if I were to be quite honest. But you can make it work. You can make great friends. That's not a problem, but I do think as a whole, it is not as diverse as other schools, if I were to be honest. But that's just my thoughts, and I mean, I can go more in depth about any of these things if you'd like me to, so let me know if you do. But these are my honest opinions, and I tried my best to keep it not as filtered and as honest as possible. But if some things are confusing that I say or things like that, totally let me know. I'm definitely willing to go more in depth about things and things like that. So yeah, I'm just gonna go straight into what my friends have to say.
So a couple pros that I have are the class sizes are smaller and it's easier to focus in class. So having class sizes at around like 30 or 40 really helps. Another pro is it's a small school, so I can walk around really easily. It only takes me about a 5 or 10 minute walk to get to a class. Another pro is we have a really good business program. It's one of the top business programs in California, I believe. I'm considering having a business minor, and I think that our program is just pretty good for business. Also, we have new developed buildings, and like we keep getting new built buildings. For example, our KEC, it's brand new and very nice. We're also in the center of Orange County, so there's a bunch of things around. There's like Disneyland. We're right next to LA, so it's pretty convenient there too. And Chapman also gives out lots of scholarships. So although one of the cons I'm talking about later is it's expensive, but Chapman does give out multiple scholarships, so the affordability is a little bit more reasonable. Now I'm going to go to the cons. So cons is it's a smaller school, so when I'm signing up for classes, it's a little harder to get into them. Like I said earlier, classes are around like 30 to 40, so if I'm trying to get into a class and all 30 spots are filled, it kind of sucks since I can't get in, and I'm gonna have to try again next semester. Another con is that it's expensive. Tuition is pretty crazy. That's why I'm a commuter, because trying to purchase dorm is pretty expensive, and that's about it. So thank you.
Something that I think Chapman does a really good job of is orientation week. Coming into your first year of college, it's really scary, but they do a really good job with setting you up with an orientation leader or two who are in your major, and you're in a group with people that are also your major. So it's just the perfect way to get to know people right off the bat, get to know upperclassmen who are there to support you throughout the entire year and probably the rest of your life. There's also lots of fun activities during orientation week. I recommend you go to everything at orientation because I didn't and I regret doing that. Chapman is really small, so it's really easy to get around. You won't get lost. If you have a class on main campus and another class 10 minutes later at Chapman Studios West, you still have plenty of time to make it there because we are so small. Chapman's super organized when it comes to sorority recruitment, and like recruitment's not for everyone. Not everyone wants to join a sorority, but I knew coming into school that I did. And something that I really appreciate is that they do it second semester. A lot of colleges do it first semester, but we do it during our interterm. And I think that's super important because it gives you a whole semester to like really figure out what you want from a sorority, and also just get used to Chapman itself, like without being a part of something that takes up so much time and everything. You get free Adobe software, which is really nice, especially if you're in Dodge. You get Premiere and Photoshop and all of those things, which is super cool. Chapman like offers a lot of scholarships, which is really nice. They want you to come to the school, so they're gonna help you as much as they can. There's also a lot of on-campus jobs that I haven't taken advantage of yet, but you can totally do that. Some of them are only for work study, but some of them you don't have to have work study, so yeah. I also think it's really great that everyone is really passionate about what they're doing. If you're in Dodge, you can see that really clearly when you're on set. You know that people are there because they are passionate about film. The same goes for like people in the education program and other programs like that. Everyone wants to be there and they want to thrive in this environment, which just makes you want to do it that much more. Professors are really nice. I love my professors this semester. They're like some of the best people I've ever met. And because we have such small classes, you can really get to know your professor and build a relationship with them because they're going to be there for you in the future if you do that. If you take the time to get to know your professor, which is super easy again because of the class sizes, they'll take the time to get to know you as well. There's lots of study abroad opportunities, including semester, interterm, and summer courses. I personally don't want to commit to a whole semester being away, but like summer courses and interterm courses are the perfect way to still be able to go abroad. And another big pro is that you get to meet the most amazing people in the world. Like I got to live with two really cool people, and I'm really good friends with Kaylee, and I love her so much. And I feel like the RAs do a good job at attempting to build a sense of community. So let's get to the cons. You have to have a meal plan and go to the caf for most of your meals. I'm vegetarian, and it's hard to find options when you have dietary restrictions. We do have a vegan station, and other stations have like vegetarian options. However, I personally didn't think they were that good. It's interesting though because a lot of people really love the caf. I do not like the caf, but I know I have a couple friends who would eat there like in general for fun. And I know that some upperclassmen still get meal plans because they like the caf food. Chapman again is a small campus, which is good in some aspects, but at the same time, it's just hard to find study spaces. If your favorite space is taken, the other spaces probably are too, because there's not a lot of room because we're so small. There aren't a lot of other places on campus to eat. I know a lot of different colleges have like Panda Express or Subway or like a bunch of other good places. Because we're a small campus, like it makes sense to not have a ton of options, but it also sucks when you can't eat at the caf and you don't want to just live off of bagels. And the lines also take a really long time, which is fine, but if you want to get a bagel between a 15-minute gap, like you're not gonna have time. I did the meal plan where it's like 10 swipes a week and then 400 Panther bucks, and I never used it all up. So it's just like that money's kind of gone to waste. It's hard to figure out where to get support because we have so many different types of academic advising. And I've honestly gone to every single type of advisor, and I found it really hard to get the support I need when it comes to things like changing my major and registering for classes and things like that. I feel like they're doing the best they can, but it's not like good enough right now. And sometimes when you do find the person you're supposed to talk to, it's not actually that person because the system doesn't really make sense and it's really difficult. Also, it kind of sucks if you don't have a car because it's expensive to Uber to Target or like to a grocery store.
So my first pro is the size. Part of why I chose the film program at Chapman was because you're still getting like really high quality resources and facilities and faculty, but the education is a lot more personalized because class sizes are smaller, and so you sort of just like get more attention in general. And that goes for the whole school. There's not that many classes that are like big lecture halls. I mean, they do exist, but they're pretty few. And sort of that general like access to resources I think carries over. There's a lot of resources at your disposal at Chapman. Student peer counseling services, SPCS, is another like, that's a big pro. So if you need like therapy or something, or if you just want to, because mental health is pretty important, especially in college. There's no like long waiting line or anything. And that's a really, like that's a great resource. Like it definitely helped me out freshman year. Yeah, even now, like you can talk to you over like video call. The campus is really nice. I mean, there are some like older buildings, and I'd say the dorms are also can be on the older side, but as far as like the actual campus goes, like the classrooms are really nice. In the film school, there's a good amount of sound stages, there's computer labs and editing suites, and yeah, depending on your major, like you can have access to a lot of the buildings 24/7. The library is also great, and the hours are pretty long. So, and during finals week, I think they go for like 24/7. Chapman is not that far from Los Angeles, maybe like a 40-minute drive, which is really convenient if you want to do like internships, or I don't know, you just want to go to LA because that's, you know, there's stuff in LA and there's not as much stuff in Orange County. And for sets too, for film, it's a great city to be 40 minutes away from. Cons, I would say sort of the flip side of the LA thing. If you don't have a car, it can be less convenient to get around in Orange. There's not that much stuff to do in walking distance. There's like an old town area with restaurants and like antique shops and thrift stores and stuff. But aside from that, there's not really anything walkable. So a car would come in handy. Food options on campus, not the greatest. Their hours, even worse. Like for example, on the weekend, the caf is only open from 5 to 6:30 for dinner. And so if you're doing something else, like maybe you're on set that weekend, you might just not be able to have dinner at the caf. If you're in the film school, you're a little bit like isolated from main campus, both because like the film school, you have to walk through like a neighborhood to get there, but then also the way that housing and stuff is set up, you're probably not gonna run into that many people. So unless you're like going out of your way, you can definitely meet people, but in general, like you're gonna just be surrounded by Dodge kids. For housing, they require you to do 2 years of on-campus living, and the freshman options are fine. They're pretty similar, but the options for upperclassmen can vary a lot in quality, and it's sort of just luck of the draw as to whether or not you get into a good one. Some of them you need a car because they're not like actually close to campus. I mean, they do have shuttles too, but if you're running late, the shuttle will make sure that you are extra late. And then I would also say, I think that the school itself would like to have a more diverse student body, and sort of promotes that like acceptance and like wants to draw in more students of color and things like that. But the school itself, as it stands right now, is not that diverse, and there are like a few incidents on campus. Not like people are getting hurt, but there's usually like, I don't know, 3 or 4 controversies each semester. And I think that sometimes the response of the administration can be a little bit disappointing. That being said, the school does have like lots of outreach programs, and there are clubs and groups you can join. It's not to say that Chapman is unwelcoming, but I think that that's an area that they could improve in. Yeah, so that's kind of my Chapman pros and cons. Thank you, Kaylee, for giving me half the monetization of this video.
Okay, so that is everything, and so I hope this video was helpful. I know that a lot of people are trying to decide between Chapman and another school, or just trying to see if Chapman is really the right fit for me. And aside from everything I've said, overall Chapman is a great school and I had an amazing freshman year. I honestly love this school, and I mean I'm coming back and I don't plan on leaving, at least for now. And I think if you're looking into it, really look into if it fits you personally, because I'm speaking from my own personal experience, my friends are speaking from their own personal experience, and take this for how you want to take it. But I hope this helped, and this is it. So I am happy to answer more questions, anything like that. My Instagram is at KayleeInADay, so you can DM me there, anything, or just I can make another video going in depth about something specific, things like that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys. Bye bye.